Most people think of dementia as something that shows up when they're 70 or 80, but that's just the diagnosis. The real decline starts 20 to 30 years earlier, quietly while you still feel fine. And by the time memory problems appear, you're not starting at the beginning. You're often well down the track of memory dysfunction. The good news is a huge portion of dementia risk is linked to things that we can influence, especially in midlife. So in this video, I'm going to give you a simple framework I call the brain insurance policy. It's a handful of seemingly boring habits that compound over decades to stack the odds in your favor. And near the end, I'll show you the 2 blood tests that you really should do to assess your risk. They're 2 tests that doctors often don't do. When people think of dementia, they think of memory, but dementia is not just memory loss, it's a loss of independence. It's losing your ability to manage money, cook, drive, plan, and recognize people that you love. And here's the key. By the time symptoms show up, the biology has been building for 20, 30, 40 years. So we're going to focus on what actually moves the needle in midlife to prevent cognitive decline later, without special biohacks or fancy supplements. And here are the 5 levers we're going to focus on. Number 1 is blood flow. This is vascular health. Number 2 is the brain building blocks. Think of nutrition, and then brain cleanup, which is sleep, brain rewiring, and that can help with things like learning and movement, and brain protection. Think of hearing, vision, and inflammation. Let's start with the most overlooked one, because it doesn't seem like a brain health strategy. Lever number 1. If your brain was a city, your blood vessels are like the roads, and dementia is often a traffic problem before it's a memory problem. This means poor blood flow to the brain, and high blood pressure in midlife is one of the strongest modifiable risk factors because it damages the tiny blood vessels of the brain, causing silent injury over time. If you do one thing, make sure your blood pressure is optimal. It should not be higher than 120/80 at rest. And many people don't realize they have higher blood pressure as you usually don't feel it unless it's dangerously high. What actually helps? Things like daily walking with some intensity, doing isometric exercises. This can help blood flow. Eating less ultra-processed foods, having better sleep, reducing alcohol, and supplements like magnesium and nitrate-rich foods can help. But sleep quality and exercise is the key to good cardiovascular health. Now, once blood flow is improved, the next question is, what is the brain made of? Which brings us to lever number 2. Your brain isn't a computer. It's a high-energy, fat-rich organ. One fat that shows up again and again in the brain structure is DHA from omega-3s. That's concentrated in the synapses and the neuronal membranes. And yes, omega-3 matters, but here's the twist, and it's called the homocysteine trap. There's a blood marker called homocysteine, and higher homocysteine is associated with brain atrophy and cognitive decline risk. And researchers tried B vitamins to lower homocysteine with good results, and omega-3s for brain protection, and both times the results were mixed for cognitive function. And it wasn't until a study called the VitaCog study that showed that B vitamins helped the most when omega-3 status was optimal. So it's not just about reducing homocysteine, it's about improving omega-3. And homocysteine is closely tied to something called methylation. So the key is to eat fatty fish regularly, 3 or 4 times a week, or take a good quality omega-3 supplement. And check your homocysteine levels. And if they're elevated, things like the methylated B vitamins, improving kidney function, liver function, can all help to lower those down. The next step is lever 3, and that is sleep. During sleep, the brain's waste-clearing systems ramp up, including clearing metabolic byproducts like amyloid-related waste. So sleep isn't just about rest, it's about maintaining the brain. And 2 practical points. The quantity matters, so most people do best with at least 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and breathing matters. Untreated sleep apnea is a big deal for brain aging and vascular risk. So if you snore, wake up unrefreshed, have morning headaches, consider getting a screening for sleep apnea. And chronic stress doesn't just feel bad, it can also affect deep sleep and keep your body stuck in that flight or fight mode. So focusing on getting good quality sleep and potentially adding in supplements like magnesium or phosphatidylserine if you're stuck in that wired but tired mode. Lever number 4 is exercise. Walking helps, and the more steps you do per day, getting up to around 8 to 10,000 steps a day, whereas where it plateaus out, has shown to help reduce dementia risk. Also adding in a little bit more intensity and activities that help the brain work. So think of things like dancing, playing tennis or racket sports, martial arts, and other team sports where you're not just doing exercise, you've got to think at the same time and use the body in different ways. If you never struggle, your brain has no reason to rewire. So instead of just doing the same types of puzzles all the time, do something you're bad at. It doesn't matter, just get slightly better and your brain is working to get better at doing that. So focus on 150 minutes minimum of moderate exercise, add in 2 resistance training exercises, and focus on exercises that help the brain work at the same time. Lever number 5 is protecting the brain. This section is all about reducing the cognitive load, reducing inflammation, and reducing the silent damage that can be happening to the brain. Hearing loss and vision impairment are now recognized as meaningful, modifiable risk factors, especially hearing loss. When sensory input degrades, the brain compensates, and people often withdraw socially also. Make sure you get a baseline hearing test in midlife and fix vision issues if you have them. Gum disease is another thing to get checked regularly with your dentist. It's associated with systemic inflammation, and oral health issues tend to correlate with broader health issues from brain function and cardiovascular health. So make sure you floss, make sure you brush your teeth regularly, and get regular checkups with your dentist. Blood sugar and insulin resistance has a strong link to dementia and also Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's is often called type 3 diabetes, and insulin resistance in midlife will predict long-term brain risk factors. So make sure you get your insulin checked and your A1C. Reduce down ultra-processed foods, sugars, and also to help with cognitive function, make sure you have a good social connection, as loneliness is also connected to things like dementia. Community engagement and having a sense of purpose show up repeatedly in healthy aging patterns. So schedule catch-ups socially just like you would schedule a workout. Here's the 10-step checklist. This is a simple checklist to make sure you're on the right track. Make sure you check your blood pressure. This is number 1. Sleep, get 7 to 8 hours most nights and rule out sleep apnea if it's a possibility. Have omega-3 fatty acids or eat fish consistently. Check your homocysteine. Make sure you're moving and doing cardio and strength exercises each week and doing skills that are complex and help you learn, even if you're bad at them. Check your blood sugar and insulin levels. Get your hearing and vision checked. Number 9, get your mouth and gums checked for things like gum disease. And number 10, schedule weekly social catch-ups and have a sense of purpose. You don't need perfection. You don't have to do all of them at once. Pick one lever and improve it over the next 30 days. And these are the 2 blood tests that I think everybody should get checked, and your doctors are not often doing it. Number 1 is homocysteine, and this should be between 5 and 8, even though the reference range is often 0 to 15. And it's a red flag for brain and vascular risk. And number 2 is fasting insulin. And this is one of the earliest warning signs of insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction. Once again, the reference range is often 2 to 25, but really you want to be less than 10, and ideally around that 3 to 6 mark. So if you have a family history of dementia, it doesn't mean you're going to get it. And protecting your brain isn't about doing extreme things or special biohacks. It's about doing these key things over and over and starting them at an earlier age, ideally in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. But it's never too late. Check the description below for links and resources to testing. And if you want to find out more about homocysteine, watch this video next.